Voyager 1 endured the cold, slipped across the frontier into interstellar space, and continued to murmur secrets from the farthest edges of what we know. For decades it was humanity's most distant outpost, a fragile relic of Earth drifting through endless night. But something changed. After months of silence and a malfunctioning data system, the spacecraft revived. Only what it sent back did not sound like data. It felt like a warning. A low, steady vibration. A gravitational tug from something invisible. And a new quiet inside NASA, louder than any press release. This was no ordinary glitch in deep space. It felt like confirmation that the edge of our system was never truly empty. Voyager began as a time capsule of human ambition, launched in 1977 with less computing power than a modern wristwatch. It carried detectors, cameras, sensors, and a golden record etched with sounds of Earth. It was expected to last 5 years, long enough to sweep past Jupiter and Saturn before fading into silence. But it didn't fade. It exceeded every prediction, outlived its creators, and pushed further into the stars than any machine before it. Even as its power dwindled and systems shut down one by one, it endured. In 2012, it became the first human craft to cross into interstellar space, leaving behind the Sun's protective bubble. Then in late 2024, its voice fractured. Streams of data collapsed into static, gibberish that seemed like nonsense. The suspected culprit, its flight data system, Voyager's memory, its brain. For months engineers tried, unsure if it even heard them. Every command was a message cast into an ocean, taking 45 hours for a reply. And then, against all odds, Voyager answered. On March 20, 2025, it responded. Relief turned to unease when the signals were decoded. The spacecraft was healthy. Its instruments stable. But the environment it described did not match the models. The boundary of the heliosphere had always been thought of as smooth, a soft gradient into the void. Voyager reported something else. Chaotic plasma storms. Spikes of pressure. Radiation bursts unlike anything predicted. Not emptiness but turbulence. Resistance. Almost as if something beyond was pressing back. Then came the density shifts. Wild swings in particle density, so extreme, so rhythmic, that they resembled a pulse. Not random, not noise. A heartbeat echoing at the system's edge. And buried within the transmissions was a hum. A narrow band, low frequency, steady at 3 kHz. Not chaos. Not solar activity. Unmoving, unbending, like a clock in the void. Faintly noticed years earlier, dismissed as background noise, but now sharpened into focus. And it was growing stronger, as if Voyager were not just moving through it, but being guided toward it. The final anomaly was the most unsettling. Voyager's path was shifting. Its trajectory no longer matched predictions. It was being nudged, not by thrusters, not by mechanical failure, but by an outside force. A steady pull from a place where no visible object existed. Telescopes turned to the coordinates. They found nothing. No stars, no heat, no glow. Only darkness. Speculation ranged from a rogue planet to a hidden black hole to a cluster of unseen matter. But none could explain the hum, the pulse, and the tug all at once. It didn't look like Voyager was falling into a well. It looked like it was being led. Then came the silence, this time not from space, but from Earth. NASA's updates slowed, details vanished, reports became vague. Engineers once open about anomalies grew quiet. Whispers spread of restricted meetings and outside agencies taking control. Independent researchers sifted what scraps remained. Some thought it was a knot of dark matter. Others suggested an ancient cosmic echo, older than stars themselves. And a few whispered the darker possibility, that none of it was natural. That the pull was not mass but structure. That the hum was not resonance but design. If the void was observing Voyager, then the silence we mistook for emptiness may have been something far more deliberate. Not absence but patience. Not distance but design. For generations, we have lifted our gaze to the skies believing the universe was indifferent, an endless, impartial stage where humanity played its small story alone. Voyager was launched to test that belief, to carry a fragile echo of Earth into the darkness, to see if anyone, anywhere, might answer. But what if it was never about us calling out? What if the mission was not discovery, but delivery? What if something had been waiting all along, waiting for us to reach the right door? For decades, we celebrated Voyager as a triumph of human daring. A fragile machine, built with less intelligence than a pocket calculator, yet capable of outliving its creators. It endured the storms of Jupiter, the rings of Saturn, and the long, silent cold beyond Neptune. It was meant to be a time capsule, a message, a farewell to the stars. But what if, in crossing the heliopause, it did more than extend our reach? What if that crossing was not a milestone of exploration, but the turning of a key in a lock we never knew existed? A lock built into the very architecture of the solar system itself. The signals Voyager now carries, the hum, the pulse, the steady gravitational tug, are not the final, fading breaths of a dying spacecraft. They are too precise, too measured, too deliberate. They are signatures. And signatures imply intent. If they are patterns, then they are structure. And if they are structure, then somewhere in the silence, something shaped them. This is the unsettling possibility. That beyond the sun's protective breath, beyond the scattered winds of interstellar dust, lies not wilderness but architecture. A hidden framework, woven into the fabric of the void. Not passive. Not accidental. But aware. Voyager was never built for such an encounter. It was made to observe, not to awaken. And yet, by its persistence, by its improbable survival, it may have crossed a threshold meant to remain untouched. It may have become our first contact, not with a civilization as we imagine it, but with the machinery of the cosmos itself. And so the question shifts. It is no longer, what lies beyond? It becomes, what have we stirred into motion? Perhaps the hum is not a song for us at all, but a signal meant for something else. Perhaps the pulse at the boundary is not resistance, but test, an initiation. And perhaps Voyager is no longer simply carrying our message outward, but is instead delivering someone else's message back inward, toward the cradle of Earth. Because thresholds are never simple. They are meant to be crossed, but never without consequence. And if someone, or something, was waiting on the other side, then Voyager's journey was never just exploration. It was an introduction. An introduction we may not have been ready to make. So we are left with questions that cut deeper than science alone can answer. What if the silence of space was never silence at all? What if it was listening? What if our first true act of interstellar exploration was not to observe the universe, but to announce ourselves to it? Voyager's golden record was made to speak for us. But perhaps the real message was never etched in copper and gold. Perhaps the real message is Voyager itself, our machine, our ambition, our curiosity, crossing the threshold, triggering the response of something far greater. And if that is true, then the most haunting question of all remains. Did he find the void, or did the void finally